Am I the a-hole for not letting my brother's girlfriend stay with me during the holidays? I live in a small 2-bedroom apartment. During the holidays, my younger brother asked if he and his girlfriend could stay with me for a week while they visited our hometown. I said yes to him. I told him there's a bed in the second room and he's always welcome, but I also told him that his girlfriend would need to get a hotel. Not because I don't like her, we're friendly, but because I'm not super comfortable sharing my space with someone I barely know for that long. Plus, I work from home and have a really tight routine. He got offended, said they've been dating for over a year and they're a package deal now. He accused me of being rude and treating her like a stranger. I told him this isn't personal. I just need to feel comfortable in my own home. Now he says they're both not coming and my mom is on my case for ruining family time over a guest. I feel bad, but I also think being generous doesn't mean I have to bend every boundary I have. So am I the a-hole for only inviting my brother and not the person he brings everywhere? The guy who lied his way into a tech job. So this dude I went to school with, let's call him Alex, went viral on campus for one reason. He got hired at a tech company by faking the entire resume. He claimed he knew Python, Java, and SQL, but he barely passed Intro to Excel. He used ChatGPT to write his cover letter and copied someone else's GitHub portfolio. Somehow he gets the job. Fully remote, $80,000 starting salary, benefits. He celebrates by posting a screenshot on Instagram. Fake it till you make it. For 2 weeks, he kept asking us, yo, what's a server? How do I deploy code? At first, we thought he was trolling. He wasn't. Week 3, his manager schedules a live coding test on Zoom. Alex panics, posts a story. Anyone free to pretend to be me on a call? No one helped. He got fired mid-Zoom call when he couldn't open the right program. But here's the crazy part. Another startup saw his viral post and hired him for their marketing team. They said they loved his bold energy and hustle. He really faked it and still somehow made it. What happened to the smartest kid in school? Everyone knew Leo. He was that kid. Straight A's since 3rd grade. Math whiz, chess champion, first to finish the SAT almost perfect score. Teachers said he'd change the world, but no one asked Leo how he felt about any of it. He missed birthdays to study, skipped sleep for extra credit. Every mistake was a disappointment, not a lesson. Parents bragged about him like a trophy. College? Only the Ivies were acceptable. And emotions? Not allowed. He was too smart to be stressed. By senior year, Leo started showing up late, quiet, tired. He missed class once, then twice, then for a week. We all thought he was prepping for college interviews. Then one day, the principal made an announcement. Leo had dropped out. No explanation. His family moved away the next week. No goodbye, no message. Years later, someone spotted him working nights at a gas station. He looked empty. The truth? He cracked. All that pressure to be the smartest crushed him. He was never allowed to be a kid, only a resume. And now, no one remembers his awards, only the silence he left behind. Have you ever seen a spoiled kid get a reality check? There was this guy in my college dorm, let's call him Tyler. Always wore designer clothes, drove a brand new BMW his parents bought him for his 18th birthday, and never missed a chance to remind everyone he was too good for public school. One summer, his dad cut him off for 3 months to teach him responsibility, so Tyler, for the first time in his life, had to get a job. He ended up as a cashier at a local fast food joint. He showed up late on his first day, wearing sunglasses inside, complained about standing too long, and kept calling customers dude. On day 3, he refused to mop because, and I quote, "My parents pay people for that." The manager, a no-nonsense single mom, pulled him aside and said, "If you don't want to work, there's the door. But out here, nobody cares who your parents are." He was stunned, quit on the spot, and the next week, he was back in the dining hall swiping his roommate's meal card because he couldn't afford lunch. Never heard him brag again after that. Can 100 men beat one gorilla? Yes. And here's how. Everyone always says a silverback gorilla would destroy 100 men. And normally, yeah, if you just throw them in a field, it's a massacre. But what if the men actually planned it? Hear me out. One gorilla, 400 pounds of pure muscle, insane bite force, stronger than 10 men. But 100 coordinated men, that's a different story. You don't need all 100 to fight. 20 act as bait, 30 bring nets, ropes, blankets, 10 climb trees to drop from above, and the last 40 surround and swarm when it's tangled up. It wouldn't be clean. A lot of guys would get wrecked, broken ribs, concussions, maybe worse, but eventually the numbers win. Gorilla tires out, gets restrained. 100 minds working together beat one beast. It's not about brute strength, it's strategy. Ants can take down a scorpion. Wolves hunt in packs. So yeah, 100 average dudes with a plan, they win, but only once, because no one's trying that twice. How did you outsmart your boss? A few years ago, I had a boss who was the king of micromanagement. He made us CC him on every email, double check things he already approved, and worst of all, he'd constantly correct work that didn't need correcting just to feel in control. One day, I had enough. So I ran a little experiment. For a month, I started submitting 2 versions of every report, one labeled draft, filled with small, harmless mistakes, and one labeled final, which was actually perfect. But I'd send that one after he sent his usual corrections. Every time he'd nitpick the draft, suggest changes, and I'd send the final version back saying, "Thanks, already had that covered." After a few weeks, he started praising my improvements and slowly stopped hovering. Eventually, he said, "I think you've really grown into this role. Keep trusting your instincts." Yeah, sure. Thanks, boss. Glad my growth aligned perfectly with your need to feel smarter. Am I the a-hole for refusing to let my best friend bring her baby to my wedding? I'm getting married in 2 months, and it's a child-free wedding. Not because I hate kids, but because our venue is small, the vibe is formal, and honestly, I just wanted one night where the focus could be on the adults, the ceremony, and yeah, us. I made that clear on the invites and in a follow-up message. My best friend recently had a baby, and she RSVP'd yes, but now she's asking if she can bring the baby anyway because her sitter canceled and she doesn't trust anyone else. She says she'll keep the baby quiet or step outside if it cries. She promised it won't be a problem. I told her I'm sorry, but I'm sticking to the rule. She got really upset, said she's heartbroken to miss my big day, but she's not comfortable leaving her newborn. Now my mom and a few friends are saying I should just let it go. It's just one baby, and it's your best friend. But I can't help feeling like if I bend the rule for her, I'll have to explain to everyone else why their kids weren't allowed. And I don't want crying during our vows or nap schedules taking over the reception. Still, she's my best friend, and I get it. I really do. Am I the a-hole for sticking to my child-free rule, even if it means my best friend won't be there? 100 men versus 1 gorilla. Who wins? Let me be clear. If it's just bare hands, no weapons, no prep, that gorilla is walking away with barely a scratch, and 100 guys are walking away with trauma if they're lucky. A silverback gorilla isn't some cuddly zoo animal. We're talking about a creature that can bench over 1,800 pounds, run 25 miles per hour, and has a bite force stronger than a lion. Over 1,300 PSI. That's enough to shatter bones like pretzels. Now picture your average dude. Half of them skipped leg day. This isn't a movie. There's no coordinated ambush, no team leader calling plays, just chaos. Maybe 10 brave guys rush in, the rest, frozen in fear or making excuses like, "I left something in my car." And even if they do all charge at once, you think 100 punches from average humans are taking down something built like a muscular wrecking ball covered in hair and rage? You need way more than numbers. You need leverage, weapons, timing. You need to not be stupid. Now, if you gave those men some prep time, let them build spears, shields, get some basic armor, form a plan, then we've got a fight. But that's not the question. The question is 100 unarmed average dudes versus 1 gorilla, open field, right now. And my answer, the gorilla without a doubt.
Anyone who suffered depression, what got you through it? When I was dealing with depression, it wasn't some big life-changing moment that got me through it. It was small things, tiny choices every day. One of the biggest things, getting a dog. At first, I didn't even want him. A friend convinced me to adopt this scrappy little mutt from the shelter. I thought, how am I supposed to take care of a dog when I can barely take care of myself? But that dog needed me. He didn't care if I was tired or sad. He needed walks, food, attention. And somehow, that responsibility gave me a reason to move, even when I didn't want to. My advice is this: find one small thing that needs you. It could be a pet, a plant, a project, anything. Something outside yourself that pulls you forward on the days you feel stuck. You won't feel better overnight, but one day you'll look back and realize you kept going. And sometimes that's enough.
People who grew up with a stepmom, how was it? When my dad married my stepmom, I was only 9. At first, I didn't know what to call her. She wasn't my real mom, and I was scared it would feel wrong to let her in. But she never forced anything. She showed up to every school play. She stayed up helping me with homework I swore I could do alone. She sat with me through every heartbreak, even when I pushed her away. One day, I came home from a terrible day at school. Bad grades, fights with friends, everything going wrong. She had made my favorite dinner without even knowing what happened. When I broke down crying at the table, she just hugged me and said, "I'm here, always." That's when I realized blood doesn't make someone your mom. Love does. She didn't replace my real mom. She became another real one. And honestly, I wouldn't be who I am without her. Have you ever met a financial guru? I met this guy at a business networking event once. Really slick talker, nice suit, flashy watch, confident handshake. He asked me, "Do you want to stay broke forever or do you want to be rich like me?" I laughed at first, but he was serious. He started throwing around all these buzzwords: passive income, financial freedom, generational wealth. Like he had all the answers. Then he leaned in and said, "For just $997, you can join my exclusive program and learn my secret formula." Red flags immediately went off. Turns out his program was just a recycled course full of basic advice you could find for free online. No real investing experience, no real wealth. Just another guy selling dreams to desperate people. Lesson learned: if someone's getting rich by selling you the idea of getting rich, they are not a guru. They're just another salesperson. r/choosing beggars. But I'm giving you exposure. I'm a freelance graphic designer. One day, a guy I barely knew from high school DM'd me out of nowhere. We hadn't spoken in 7 years. Not a single message, not even a birthday like on Facebook. He says he's launching a luxury streetwear brand and wants a full logo, a website banner, 3 Instagram templates, and a design for a hoodie. I send him my price list, which was honestly pretty reasonable for the amount of work. He immediately replies, "Wait, I thought you'd hook me up for free. We go way back, bro. Don't you want to see me win?" I explained nicely that this is my job. It's how I pay my bills. He doubles down. "Come on, man. I'm gonna blow up. I'll tag you on every post. Think about all the clients you'll get. You'll owe me." I told him again, exposure doesn't pay rent. He called me selfish, said I was gatekeeping my talent, even said I should be grateful to get my designs on the ground floor of a future billion-dollar company. When I still said no, he left me on read. Then a week later, he posted a blurry Canva logo that looked like it was made in 5 minutes. Caption said, "Built this empire with no help. Real hustlers don't beg." Bro, you literally begged me a week ago.
Am I the a-hole for not forgiving my friend after he accidentally exposed my secret at a party? I told my best friend something personal, that I was secretly applying to jobs behind my boss's back. I asked him not to say anything. He promised. 2 weeks later, we were at a party with some coworkers and friends. Everyone's a little buzzed, talking about work and life. Out of nowhere, he says, "Hey, how's that new job search going?" I froze. So did the room. My manager's roommate was at that party, and word got back to my boss the next morning. I got pulled into HR. It didn't cost me my job, but it absolutely ruined my relationship with my boss. Every interaction is awkward now. She doesn't trust me anymore. When I confronted my friend, he apologized. He said he forgot who was around and thought everyone already knew. I haven't spoken to him since. He's been texting, saying it was a dumb mistake and that I need to let it go. But I can't. That one slip nearly blew up my career, and he knew how important it was to keep that quiet. Am I the a-hole for cutting him out of my life over one very damaging mistake?
Am I the a-hole for refusing to give my kidney to my dad because he was never around? I'm 27. My dad left when I was 5. No big fight, no custody battle. He just disappeared. He sent a few birthday cards when I was younger, but nothing meaningful. No phone calls, no visits, nothing. I basically grew up without a father. A few months ago, his wife reached out and told me he was in kidney failure and needed a donor. She said I was a match, and this was my chance to reconnect with him. When I talked to him, he said all the right things. That he regretted not being there. That he wanted to make it right. That this could be a turning point, but it felt like guilt manipulation. He didn't come back because he missed me. He came back because he needed a piece of me. I said no, politely, firmly, no. Now his side of the family is calling me heartless. They say I'm letting him die over a grudge and that I'll regret this when he's gone. But I can't bring myself to sacrifice a part of my body for someone who didn't care enough to be a part of my life. Am I the a-hole for putting my own peace above his survival?
Should I sue my own dad? So I am 22, just found out that the college fund my mom left me before she passed around $40,000 is completely gone. I only found out when I applied for student loans and saw the account was empty. When I asked my dad, he admitted he used the money to help cover bills and keep the house afloat. But I moved out at 18. He never told me, never asked, just took it. And it wasn't all bills either. My aunt told me he used some of it for a new car and even a vacation with his new wife. Now I'm trying to go back to school, but I'm stuck. I don't want to take out massive student loans. That fund was supposed to help me avoid exactly that. My mom worked hard to leave that money for me. She made it clear it was for my future, not his. My aunt from my mom's side says I should sue him since the account was legally in my name. But he's still my dad. I really, really don't want it to come to that. I'm scared it'll destroy whatever relationship we have left, and I don't want this to turn into something bitter and ugly. At the same time, I have no idea how I'm going to afford college now. I feel stuck, betrayed, and unsure what to do. So should I sue my own dad just to get back what was meant for me, or should I move on and take out student loan to get a degree?
Am I the a-hole for not paying my parents back after college? So here's the deal. I'm 26, graduated 2 years ago, and I've been working full-time since. My parents helped me out with some living expenses during college, not tuition or loans, just stuff like rent, groceries, and car insurance. Probably a few $1,000s over 4 years. And to be clear, they offered to help at the time. No mention of payback, ever. Now that I'm working and doing okay, they've started hinting and recently straight up said they think I should repay the favor by sending money back monthly or covering their car payments as a thank you. I said I appreciated everything they did, but I was never told this was a loan. And right now, I'm still paying off my student debt and trying to save for an apartment. It's not like I'm out here driving a Tesla and living large. My dad got real cold and said, "We sacrificed so much for you, and now you're being selfish." My mom says I should just help a little to keep the peace. I feel like I'm not ungrateful. I've thanked them 1,000 times, and I would help in a real emergency, but this whole "you owe us now" thing feels off. Am I the a-hole for not treating their help like a loan after the fact? What's the most hated major at your school and why? At my college, the most hated major hands down was business. Not because the classes were hard, not because they were annoying, but because every group project turned into a ghost town. You'd get paired with 2 business majors and somehow end up doing all the work yourself. They were the kings and queens of PowerPoint slides with zero content and phrases like, "I'll just do the intro and let you guys handle the data part." One guy literally said, "I bring the vibes, not the spreadsheets." Meanwhile, if you were in engineering, pre-med, or accounting, you were drowning in work and still had to pick up the slack in gen eds because someone in a blazer said, "I think we should just wing it." To be fair, not all of them were bad, but after enough silent Zoom calls and copy-pasted citations, we all started side-eyeing anyone who said, "Oh, I'm in business." My manager told me to act like an owner. So I did. My old job was at a startup where management loved buzzwords like think like a leader and act like an owner. So one day when my manager left early, I made an executive decision. There was a huge bottleneck in our ticketing system. So I reorganized the queue, rerouted tasks to idle teammates, and cleared half the backlog. The next morning, I got called into a meeting. My manager said I overstepped and made changes without approval. I reminded her, "You literally told us last week to act like owners." She said that was meant for motivation, not for you to actually do something. So I stopped. I did only my job. Nothing more, nothing less. 2 weeks later, the backlog was worse than ever. She asked me to take initiative again. I said, "Sorry, I don't act like an owner anymore. I'm just an employee."
The group project that ended with someone getting expelled. I was in a senior marketing class, and we had a huge group project worth 40% of our grade. There were 4 of us. 3 of us worked. One guy didn't. Like, at all. We tried everything. Texts, emails, group meetings. He either ghosted or made excuses. So we left his name off the final submission. 2 days later, he submitted a separate version of the project with our work, but with his name as the only contributor. The professor called a meeting. He claimed we had stolen his work. Problem is, we had time-stamped docs, emails, and screenshots. He had a Word file with no edits and a fake timestamp. Long story short, he got reported for academic dishonesty, tried to appeal, and ended up getting expelled for plagiarism. And the wildest part? He still tried to follow us on LinkedIn afterward like nothing happened.
Have you ever met someone with zero common sense? I used to work at a gas station, and one day this guy pulls up during a full-on thunderstorm. Rain coming down sideways, wind blowing like crazy. He buys 2 bottles of car wash soap and asks if he can borrow the hose out back to wash his car in the rain. At first I thought he was joking. Nope. 10 minutes later, he's out there, pouring soap all over his already soaking wet car, scrubbing it with a random squeegee, while lightning is flashing behind him. When we told him it was dangerous and that the rain would rinse it anyway, he just said, "Yeah, but rainwater's not as clean as a hose." Common sense? Gone. Absolutely deleted. What's something they don't teach you at school? Something that need to be taught early is the power of compound interest. If you start investing small amounts when you're young, even just $50 or $100 a month, compound interest starts working for you. Your money earns money, and then that money also earns money. Over time, the growth becomes massive. The earlier you start, the less you have to invest later. Waiting even a few years can cost you tens of thousands of dollars in the long run. It's not about getting lucky. It's about being consistent, starting early, and letting time do the heavy lifting. The biggest financial advantage you can have isn't a big paycheck, it's time. Gamers, what made you rage quit? I was grinding in Call of Duty Ranked, finally about to hit the next division after weeks of playing. Final match, we're winning 49-35. Out of nowhere, the enemy team's kill feed goes insane. Headshots through walls, through smoke, perfect aim. One guy was obviously hacking, flying, teleporting, shooting people before they even peeked. He even typed in chat. Thanks for the free win, lol. I stayed for another 2 minutes, trying to play it cool. Then he shot me the instant I respawned. 3 times in a row. Spawn dead. Spawn dead. Spawn dead. I slammed my headset down, yelled, "I'm done!" Shut the whole console off, and deleted the game while it was still screaming at me in the background. I didn't just rage quit the match, I rage quit the entire season. But what's the funniest senior prank that happened at your school? At my school, the funniest senior prank wasn't loud or messy. It was psychological warfare. The seniors somehow got their hands on a bunch of bright yellow caution tape. Like, rolls of it. Overnight, they caution taped every single bathroom stall shut, except for one stall, across the entire school. And on every bathroom door, they posted an official district maintenance notice that said, "All restrooms are temporarily closed for emergency tile resealing. Please use the designated stall near room 214. For an entire morning, people lined up outside that one stall, confused but following the rules. Teachers were even apologizing for the inconvenience. The assistant principal finally cracked and yelled, "Who authorized this?" That's when we knew it worked. No damage, no suspension, just a really long line and a legendary prank.
Blue-collar workers. What mistake do young guys always make? I work construction, been at it over 15 years, and every year, without fail, some new young guy shows up thinking he's invincible. One kid, fresh out of high school, refused to wear his harness while working on the second floor frame, said it was too bulky, and slowed him down. We warned him multiple times. He laughed, said, "I got good balance." Fast forward 2 days. He misses a step, trips over a board, and falls straight into a pile of scrap wood. Lucky for him, it wasn't far. Just bruised his pride and maybe his ribs. After that, he never showed up without his harness again. The biggest mistake young guys make? Thinking safety rules are for everybody else. Gravity humbles everyone eventually.
Nurses, who is the dumbest patient you ever had? Back when I was a new nurse, I had a patient who thought he was smarter than every doctor in the hospital because he did his own research. He came in with a broken ankle. Simple enough, right? But every time we tried to treat him, he'd whip out his phone and argue. I'd say, "We need to do an x-ray." He'd say, "I Googled it. Ice and a good night's sleep will fix it." I tried to explain risks like fractures and internal damage. He Googled again and said, "Nah, WebMD says I'm fine." He refused crutches, refused pain meds, and demanded a discharge before Big Pharma could poison him. 2 days later, he came back in a wheelchair and with a full leg cast after trying to walk it off and falling down a flight of stairs. I didn't even have to say, "I told you so." The giant cast said it for me.
Which friendly competition turned serious real quick? At our family Thanksgiving, we always had a friendly ping pong tournament. Nothing serious. Bragging rights, a paper crown someone made out of napkins. This year, my cousin and I made it to the final round. It started out chill, laughing, trash talking, then he hit a shot so hard it nailed me in the ribs. Accident. Maybe. I served it back with heat. He smashed it even harder. Suddenly, it wasn't jokes anymore, it was war. People started gathering around. Someone put on dramatic music from their phone. Every point was a full sprint. Full dives, full screaming. Then he hit a game-winning shot, but the ball barely clipped the net. I called it out. He called me a cheater. Next thing you know, 2 grown men are arguing over a ping pong ball like it's the Olympics. Grandma had to break us up with a turkey leg. We haven't had a family tournament since.
Police officers. What's a law people break without even knowing? When I was a rookie cop, one thing I noticed fast. Almost nobody knows how to use their high beams properly. It's illegal to drive with your high beams on within 500 feet of another vehicle, either in front of you or coming toward you. You're supposed to dim them anytime you're near someone. But every night, I'd pull over drivers who left their high beams blasting down crowded streets like they were alone on a country road. Most of them had no clue it was even a thing. They just shrugged and said, "I thought they turned off automatically." Nope. It's a small mistake, but it's dangerous. You can blind another driver for a split second, and that's all it takes for something bad to happen. Sometimes it's not the big crimes that get you, it's the little things you didn't even know were wrong.
Am I the a-hole for not letting my sister's kids use my guest room? So I am 28 and bought my first house last year. One of the things I was most excited about was having a guest room I could turn into a little gaming space and reading Nook, nothing crazy, just my own peaceful setup. Fast forward to now, my sister, her husband, and their 3 kids are visiting from out of state. She asked if the kids could sleep in my guest room for the week. I told her nicely that I'd already turned it into my personal space and there's no bed in there. Offered them air mattresses and a pull-out couch, which are totally fine, especially for kids. She got super passive-aggressive and said, "I guess your computer needs a bed more than my children do." Yeah. Now my mom's texting me about how I'm being inflexible and prioritizing my hobbies over family. But like, it's my house, and I don't think having boundaries makes me a bad person? Am I the a-hole for saying no to turning my space back into a guest room just to make everyone else comfortable? What's the worst mistake you made when you were young? Going to an expensive private college I couldn't actually afford. Everyone told me, it's a great school, you'll figure it out later. And I believed them. I didn't think about the price tag, I just signed the loans. 4 years later, I graduated with over $90,000 in student debt and a starting salary that couldn't even cover the interest. It felt like I was running a race I could never win. If I could go back, here's what I'd do differently. I would have started at a community college. A lot of states offer 2 years for free, and you can transfer to a university afterward. Same degree, same opportunities, way less debt. Don't fall for the idea that the fancy name is what matters. Your future will thank you for being smart with your money, not for overpaying to impress people you'll never even meet again. What's some shady stuff that happened in your town? In my hometown, we had this tiny ice cream shop on the corner. Cute little place. Always open. Lights always on. One problem. Nobody ever actually bought ice cream there. No lines. No customers. No one leaving with cones. Ever. But somehow they stayed open for years. People started joking that they must sell the most expensive cones in America to stay afloat. A few years later, it came out in the news. The ice cream shop was a front for illegal gambling. The special Sunday menu, that was the code for poker games in the back room. When they got raided, half the town's respectable citizens were inside, holding playing cards and looking real guilty. The building is a coffee shop now, but we still call it the ice cream place, like a running joke.
Teachers, what's the craziest thing a kid ever did? I was teaching 8th grade science when the fire alarm went off. Totally normal. We do drills all the time. But this time, the principal's voice came on right after. Staff, please escort students out of the building immediately. This is not a drill. Cue instant chaos. Some kids were crying, others were cheering like school just got canceled forever. We get outside. Everyone's safe. Then we find out the truth. A student had microwaved a metal fork in the teacher's lounge because he wanted to test if metal really causes sparks like the internet says. And yeah, it does. The microwave exploded. Whole lounge filled with smoke. Fire department showed up. And the kid? Completely calm. Holding a Pop-Tart. He got suspended. But honestly, he ran a full-blown experiment with immediate results.
Am I the a-hole for not letting my friend propose at my wedding? I got married last month, and one of my closest friends, let's call him Jake, was a groomsman. He's been dating his girlfriend for 5 years, and I knew he was thinking about proposing soon. A week before the wedding, Jake pulled me aside and said, I want to propose at the reception. Nothing big, just a quick toast, and then I'll ask. I told him no. I said I didn't want any distractions on the day. It was meant to celebrate me and my wife, and I didn't want it to turn into Jake's proposal story. He seemed disappointed, but said he understood. Then during the reception, he stood up to give a toast, and at the end of it, he proposed anyway. Everyone clapped. His girlfriend cried. My wife smiled through it, but later told me she felt like our moment got stepped on. I confronted Jake the next day. He said, I love you, man, but I've waited years for this. That was the first time our whole family was together. I didn't want to waste it. Now we're barely speaking. Am I the a-hole for being upset that he made our day about his, or is he right for taking a once-in-a-lifetime chance? What's the funniest gamer rage you've ever seen? My friend was losing a 1 versus 1 in Call of Duty. Final round. We were all in party chat hyping him up like it was the championship. One more shot and he loses, misses. Silent death. Game over. Suddenly, we just hear boom, then complete static. He had legit flipped his chair backward in rage, knocked over his mic, and unplugged his entire setup. We're all crying, laughing, and he texts us 30 seconds later, chair's broken. Mom's mad. GG, we still use don't flip the chair anytime someone gets mad in a match. What's the craziest thing you got away with? In high school, I told my parents I was sleeping over at my friend Jake's house. Classic excuse. They trusted him and we'd used that cover before. But that night, we were actually heading 2 towns over to see a concert. No tickets, no plan, just vibes. Halfway there, my mom texts, send a picture of you and Jake. Love you. Instant panic. Jake's driving. I'm in the passenger seat holding a bag of sour candy and shame. So we pull over, park in front of a random house, and take a blurry selfie with the caption, movie night at the usual spot. She replies, be safe. Don't stay up too late. We saw the concert, made it back at 4 a.m., and I walked into my house with the confidence of a man who'd done nothing wrong. To this day, my mom still thinks Jake has a really nice home theater setup. Am I the asshole for refusing to share my Wi-Fi with my neighbor? I live in a small apartment complex, and my upstairs neighbor recently asked if he could borrow my Wi-Fi for a bit because he's between jobs. At first I said okay, thinking it'd be temporary. A week later, I noticed my internet was crawling. I checked my router and saw 5 devices connected under names like Living Room TV and PS5. I texted him and asked him to limit usage, and he replied, you said I could use it, chill out. So I changed the password. He came knocking at my door, annoyed, saying I was being petty and hurting someone trying to get back on their feet. I told him I pay the bill, and it's not my job to supply him with free internet for gaming and streaming. Now he's telling other neighbors I'm selfish. Am I the asshole for cutting him off after he took advantage?
Are we the a-hole for putting up a privacy fence after my neighbor kept watching us? My husband and I recently moved into our first home. We spent weekends working in the garden, eating on the patio, just enjoying our space. But our neighbor, an older man, kept staring at us. Every time we stepped outside, he was at the fence. No wave, no smile, just watching. Sometimes with binoculars. We put up a tall privacy fence. A week later, he left a note in our mailbox calling us rude and saying we were ruining the neighborhood feel. Now, some other neighbors say we're standoffish and should have talked it out first. But how do you talk out being watched? Are we the a-hole? We stopped being friends over a birthday post. So I had this best friend, Emily. We were tight, texted every day, hung out every weekend, knew each other's family, the whole thing. Her birthday comes around and I go all out. I get her a gift, buy her favorite Starbucks drink, even write this super long, heartfelt Instagram post with a bunch of our memories. Fast forward 3 months. It's my birthday. No post, no call, not even a HBD text. I figure maybe she's busy. So I wait. Whole day goes by. Nothing. Next day, I casually bring it up like, "Hey, did you forget something yesterday?" And she goes, "Oh yeah, I saw your birthday stuff, but figured everyone else already posted, so I didn't think it mattered." Didn't matter? That's when I realized it wasn't just the post, it was the pattern. Every time I showed up for her, she didn't show up back. So I stopped texting first, stopped making plans, and guess what? She never noticed. It didn't end in a fight. It ended in silence. And honestly, that was louder than any argument. Do you think I am in the right for it?
The most hated person at our school. Every school has that person, but at our school, it was Mr. Daniels. Not a student, a teacher. Math room 204. From the outside, he looked harmless. Khaki pants, polo shirts, little mustache. But the second he walked in the room, the vibe dropped. He was cruel but sneaky about it. Would call kids out for dumb questions. Purposely grade harsh. Once gave someone a 0 for using pencil instead of pen. He loved catching people slipping. Caught one girl chewing gum and made her write an apology letter to the gum. "I want you to reflect on why your disrespect affected this innocent piece of gum." And the worst part? He smiled while doing it. Rumors spread that he got fired from his last school. No one could prove it, but everyone felt it. By mid-year, students started a secret group chat called Down with Daniels. People posted screenshots of his ridiculous emails. One kid even started filming his lectures, just in case. Then one day, he was just gone. Personal leave, they said. But a month later, a student posted a clip of Mr. Daniels mocking a kid with a stutter. It went viral on TikTok. Overnight, he became everyone's most hated person, not just at our school. Now, he's a cautionary tale, and room 204, it's still empty. How did you outsmart the system? Okay, so here's how I outsmarted the city legally. Well, mostly legally. I go to college in a downtown area where parking is brutal. Meters are like $4 an hour, and the ticket patrol? Ninjas. Silent, deadly. $60 fines every time. One day I'm walking back from class, and I see this city worker messing with a parking meter. Just curiosity, right? So I ask, "Hey, what are you doing?" He goes, "Installing new meters. These ones take 10 minutes to sync to the system after someone pays." And I'm like, wait 10 minutes? Cue the light bulb moment. So the next day, I test it. Berinci Park. I don't pay. I go to class, come back right before the meter expires, and just watch. Patrol car pulls up, guy gets out, starts walking over. I casually stroll to the meter, smile, pay for 10 minutes, and walk away. He looks at the meter, sees it's active, no ticket, and it worked again and again for 3 months. I only paid for 10 minutes each time, saved almost $300. Eventually, the city patched the glitch. I guess someone finally caught on, but for a while, I wasn't just a broke college kid, I was the ghost in the machine. The forgotten flowers. When I was 10, I forgot Mother's Day. No card, no gift, not even a hug. I just forgot. It was a Sunday like any other. I spent the morning watching cartoons and eating cereal, not realizing the day meant something more. That afternoon, I saw my best friend James walking out of his house holding a bouquet. He smiled and said, "Got these for my mom. It's Mother's Day." My heart dropped. I sprinted home. I tore through drawers looking for paper or glue to make a card. Nothing. My allowance was already spent on trading cards. I had nothing to give. Then I saw Mrs. Lynn's front yard. She had a garden full of perfect red roses. Without thinking, I grabbed scissors, crept next door, and clipped 3 of the prettiest flowers I could find. My hands were shaking. I walked up to our door and rang the bell, like a guest. My mom opened it, still in her scrubs from the hospital, tired, hair messy, eyes heavy. She saw me standing there, flowers behind my back. I said, "Happy Mother's Day, Mom." She smiled, wider than I'd seen in weeks. Not because of the roses, but because I remembered. She didn't ask where I got them, she just hugged me. That night, I found a note taped to my bedroom door. It said, "You could have picked weeds and I still would have cried. Thank you for remembering. I love you. Mom, I don't have the roses anymore, but I kept the note and now I never forget."